All right. Hi, everybody. And there's been a lot of discussion in the chat already. Welcome, everybody. And thank you. Thank you very much for your comments already. And congrats about my achievement. And as I said in the community post in YouTube, that it's you guys. Without you, it would not be anybody. So I'm really thankful for this achievement. I think it is actually quite big, and want to thank you so much. And where you all guys are from, I can see that Keith from south of France. How is the weather in south of France? It's probably pretty nice. And where else are you from? There is some familiar names, but unfortunately, I don't really remember where you guys are from. And I guess my sound is okay because nobody is or has been complaining. And I think I will turn off the banner. This is a bit awkward. This what do you call the user interface on StreamYard, which I'm using. It is a good software to do these live streams, but there are some things. Okay, from Seattle, Georgia, USA, Manchester, UK, Cornwallis, Oregon, Canada, all over the place. Horseham, UK, German, near Bonn. All right, 18 degrees Celsius in southern France. That's pretty nice. We've had about -2 Celsius here in Helsinki today. We've had a really bad weather for a few weeks now. Greetings from the Netherlands. All right, so we got all over the place. Wisconsin, I don't know if I mentioned that. Hamburg, thanks Johannes Dewald from Hamburg. Yeah, you probably know that the OMDS headquarters is in Hamburg. And Yivko Nauke from Bulgaria, cool. Let's wait for a little while and start a bit later. Maybe I'm taking the sound a bit down. It's hitting the red bar. And Seinäjoki, hello. How is Seinäjoki? You probably have a lot more snow than Helsinki, I guess, because Seinäjoki is a bit. I think it's like 4 hours north from Helsinki if you drive there. And Kirkkonummi, that's in southern Finland, Denmark. Great, we have people all over the place. That's great to hear. Slovakia, bonjour de France, welcome. Sorry, I can't speak any French. So Minnesota -7 over there. Minnesota is quite north, and there are actually quite a lot of Finns in Minnesota because there was a big migration I think it was in the early 1900s that a lot of people moved from Finland to US, and big part of those went to Minnesota. So there's a big Finnish community, I guess already. And Toronto has -7 degrees. Yeah, that's St. Helens, UK. Ottawa from Canada. That's a lot of people from all over the world. But let's start with the program. And the first thing is that there is going to be a small introduction and a few news about Micro Four Thirds, and then I've got some questions from my newsletter that I sent yesterday. That people send me a few questions, and I've prepared those questions already, so I will answer those, and then we'll have a Q&A later on. And people have been telling me the water like +24 in Argentina. Well, we have not the weather like this on this photograph, but this was taken a few days ago because it was one sunny day which I had the opportunity to go out and shoot, but it wasn't very long, so the sun wasn't there up many times. As you can see from the clouds that they kind of took over, and I got a few shots of this ice thing that was, I don't know, somebody had just taken ice from the ocean and put it there on top of a rock like this, and I don't know, it looked pretty cool. It was unfortunately very thick, so you can really see the sun shine through it. I was hoping that it would have been a bit thinner, then I would have gotten a really nice shot with the sun through that. All right, minus 21 in Quebec, or Quebec, I don't know how you say it. Is it Quebec or Quebec? Not sure. Markham, Ontario, minus 12. Yeah, you got some cold climates in Canada. I know it's pretty much the same climate in Canada that it is here in Finland, even though we are way more north than Canada, or actually the cities that you mentioned. Of course, the northern part of Canada, I think, is even further north than Finland. And let's see, happy birthday. Well, it's not my birthday, so I'm a bit older than 40,000. And 26 degrees in Indonesia. All right, but well, we've have a weather like this. Well, not really like this, but almost. And let's start with the program. But first of all, I really want to sincerely thank all of you who have subscribed my channel. I've been doing almost 3 years now in English. I used to have a Finnish channel in Finnish, but that didn't really take off because it just didn't work. But here in Finland, we do have a very good education in languages, so we learn languages. So it was kind of easy to start also do that with English, even though I know my English isn't the best in the world. But I guess it hasn't been that bad, so that 40,000 have been trusting me, and of course more people are watching my videos, and that's a huge thing. And every milestone. I remember when I got the first 1,000 subscribers, and 3,000. I remember 5,000 was a couple of years ago during Christmas, and I was so happy about. So I'm really happy about everybody, and it's not always about how big the channel is, because never my goal has been to get subscribers. My goal has been to make something interesting content that might help you guys to be better photographers, and I hope, and if that is something that I've done, maybe that has caused you guys to subscribe. And it's always, and if you remember when, and was there one video that made you subscribe? I don't know if you remember that, but it'd be nice to hear if you remember what was the trigger. Why did you subscribe to my channel? And that would be really nice to hear if you can remember. Because I probably do not remember when I have subscribed to different channels, and it's not easy to remember why. But it would be cool if anybody has a story about that. That'd be cool to hear. But let's continue. There was just before I started this, like 15-20 minutes ago, before I started this, I got this email from OMDS, the contact in Nordic for me, and he sent me a email that they were just announced this in Japan, that Micro Four Third was the best-selling system in Japan last year with a 21.7 market share, which is a good thing. So there is a future, because many people have been saying that Micro Four Third is dead, and now especially when there was this Olympus sold its imaging business to JIP, and they formed a new OM Digital Solution Company, and not everybody, but quite a few YouTubers said that, okay, Olympus is going to die, and that's it. And it's I think Micro Four Third has a good future. Of course, we all know that the camera business is not doing well, and of course the situation with the COVID-19 is not making it any easier or making it any better, because of course people are more cautious about spending money during during times like this, because of course you never know what is the work situation, like it is with many artists and venue places and people who organize big events, and of course photographers who shoot those events. They are struggling, and this is which is a bad thing. And I've been quite lucky in that sense that, of course, this YouTube thing, the ad revenue is something, and I get something from affiliate sales and stuff like that, and some people have been bought me coffee and stuff like that, so I'm good, which I'm really grateful for. And I've had some work to do, and like this week I've been editing 4 client videos, short, a minute video for social media, and then actually I just finished last week my first music video, which was a lot of fun. That was not a commercial project. It was for a friend, and I, if you want, I can put the link into the description of this video to that music video. It's a if you guys know a song called Too Sexy, I think it's Right Said Fred was the band in the 90s. It was this heavy metal band here in Finland made a cover of that for some reason. They wanted to make some fun, and that was really cool. And now some people's been answering the let's see what was there, and okay, there was some recommendation that Scott Byrne recommended your channel. Thank you, Scott, for recommending that. And I don't know if this was the reason that Gerd Blom, subscribed to my channel. It was the optimal settings for OM10 Mark II. And that's actually quite interesting that because YouTube is also a big search engine, which is interesting that a lot of people still search about the EM10 Mark II. It's one of the biggest search terms that people come to my channel, and I know I should make more videos about that camera, because that actually is quite popular camera, which is not a surprise. It's a very good camera, and I still have one in my cabinet. I sometimes use it because I like to use it, even though right now I don't have the EM10 Mark IV, but I will most likely get one if I need or want to, just to test again. And all right, and Jeff Smith says that looked back and subbed after watching DxO Lab Photo Lab 4 versus Topaz video. All right, great that somebody's been enjoying that video, because of course the software videos aren't that popular, but I like to make them because that is a big part of photography nowadays is the image editing, and I think both of those softwares, Photolab 4 and Topaz, are really good if you need to reduce some noise from your images. And actually Topaz denoise had an upgrade, which is supposed to be better. I just had a small test and said that yeah, they have improved the algorithm to get rid of the noise a bit, so it is getting also better. And yeah, let's see. Here is that Frederick Hedberg is saying, started subscribing when I bought OMD1 Mark II and needed help with the settings. I used your settings. That's a good thing, and always remember about the settings that they are the ones that I recommend. But of course you need to, when you are getting familiar with the camera, just try and tweak them to your way of doing. And it's always on those setting videos, it's very good to comment, because somebody else might get some ideas from your settings, because we're all different. And that's what I like about Olympus cameras, that they are really good in customize, or they are customizable cameras that you can tweak the buttons and the dials to your likings. And I think that's the best way. And unfortunately not all cameras you can store those settings, but most newer Olympus cameras, if EM1 and EM1 at least, the EM1, all different EM1 cameras you can have your settings stored, so you can quickly access them from the mode dial. And then this one is Paul de Auvergne. Sorry, I can't really pronounce your name, but Paul is saying your famous exposed to the right video is when I found you. Yeah, that is actually my most watched video. And that's a funny thing because that video was made many years ago, and it was made when I was doing my channel in Finnish. You can still see those videos if you go back in my channel to 2017, I think it was, when I started making videos in Finnish. And that video I made, I don't remember when it was, but I made that in English because I thought it would be interesting. And yes, it has been, because it's my most watched video. And if we then continue with the agenda, is that I get a lot of questions about photography, about Olympus, about my videos. And the best way to contact is to go to my blog and click the Ask Peter link. Or if you're not a member of my Facebook group for this channel yet, then you might want to be, because there are lots and lots of good discussions about photography, about Olympus gear. If you have any questions about, I answer them. I try to answer every question you have, and also the community is answering your questions, and they post images there, and then they talk about the images, and I sometimes also comment the images. I used to comment almost every image, but there are so many now that I just don't have the time, which is a pity. I know I should comment more on those images. Maybe that's something that I should do better in 2021. And I also give assignments every month in my Facebook group for photography assignments. And don't worry, I will put all the links in the description of this video, and some of them already are there if you want to join my Facebook group. There are like 1,600 members already, and it's a very healthy group, and people are really supportive to each other. It's a really, really good place to discuss Olympus and photography in general. And then of course Messenger is one, but the best parts are either emailed through my blog. There is a form where you can ask your questions, and then of course the Facebook group, because Messenger is sometimes, if you're not a contact, then it might get lost there. And the same thing goes with Instagram. I do answer sometimes, but that might take a few days because I don't use Instagram every day. That's why it might take a little longer. And then of course commenting the videos, which is a good way. I try to answer every comment. It might take a day or two, but I will answer. If you have a question, I will try to find the answer for you. So those are maybe the best ways to contact if you have anything to ask me, or in the Facebook group in general. You can ask the community too. And the best way to support my channel is to watch my videos, like the videos, share the videos. If you like the video, please share it in different groups and your fellow photographers. Excuse me. And then of course, subscribing to my channel if you haven't done it already is a big support. And also commenting the videos if you have anything to say. And I always like if you disagree. That's always interesting to hear. If I've said something that you might disagree, or you have a different opinion on things, then please do that, because that's a good start for a conversation. And I know a lot about photography, and I know a lot about Olympus gear, but I don't know everything. So if you have any information, and of course, always some experiences that you have had with the cameras in different situations and different things that is related to the video, is always welcome. That's really interesting, because I'm reading those, and as I said, I try to comment, answer every comment, so that there is a really where was I? Yeah, trying to answer every comment. Yeah, and then let's continue. And let's go to the questions that I got from my weekly newsletter. Let's take that off a bit so you can see the photograph. That was taken at the same time as the opening photo that I had. It wasn't that dark and blue, but I just wanted to make it a bit more, dark looking and a bit darker and bluer, because that kind of tells us how cold it is. And the first question is that what is the best Olympus camera for photography? And this is a question that I get a lot of, or people are asking this a lot, because it is actually a quite interesting question. And all that, the answer actually depends on what are the things that you want to shoot. Of course, the absolute best is, I think, EM1 Mark III or EM1X. That is the best. You know, if if you want the best, this was. I didn't put the names on these because I didn't ask. So if I can put any names, so that's why there are no names. But these came from after my newsletter where I told about this live stream. I sent it yesterday, and I got these few questions that I asked if they have any questions, and these are the ones. And but of course, if one is starting, let's say that using the mobile phone, then maybe the EM10 Mark IV could be the camera to get into photography with the kit lens, and that's a good start. And then, of course, the M5 Mark III or even Mark II. Of course, it depends on the budget, because always, it's about the budget, of course. Because if you want to buy the best, then I would, of course, go with the EM1 Mark III or EM1X, which are the best. But you can do marvelous imaging with older bodies or not that good, which I don't mean that they are bad, but the EM1 cameras are better. So I think it's more for that. And then, of course, it's about a question of lenses too. It depends on what you shoot. If you like to shoot wide angle shots or telephoto lens, you're doing portraits or doing landscape, doing sports, doing everyday shooting street, or it depends on that. But if the one who asked the question, I will answer in the mail to this person, of course, also. But this one was for the live stream. But this is always a tough question, which is best for you, because it's really hard to say that this is something that's best for me might not be best for you. You might value different things. And I think that's why you need to have different kinds of cameras on the market too, so that everybody can find their own. And of course, different prices too, which is also quite important. Yeah, and this is like Tony B says, that the best camera is the one you have with you, and that's exactly how it is. It's usually more about the photographer than the camera, because if we think about these are horrible to hold, horrible to use and to photograph. But we take a lot of photographs with mobile phones because it's we have it with us, and it's very convenient and it's easy to share. So there are many things that makes a camera the best camera. And then, yeah, it can be your iPhone or Android or Samsung or whatever phone you have. That's might be your best camera because you have it with you. And then also, yeah, like Dave Nelson says, that the best camera is the one that you can do the most with. Exactly. And sometimes it can be your mobile phone. That's at the moment, that's the thing you can do. You can share. If the sharing is the thing at that moment, then usually, even though you have OI share and you can share the images from your Olympus camera, but it's, of course, you have to transfer it. It's not like a click of a button like it is with mobile phones. But yeah, that is true. And let's see what else. So let's go to the next question. And let's see. And this is also something that has been asked a lot, is that when you're using Panasonic/Leica lenses on an Olympus body, what you should do with the image stabilizing, and should you have it on or off? And there is one clear answer, and it is that when you have the IBIS on your Olympus camera, then you should turn the lens IS off. And this is only for Panasonic and Leica lenses or any other lenses that might have image stabilizing. If you have a M.Zuiko lens, then you can have it both on. This is only if you have a Panasonic/Leica lenses, and the particular lens was 100 to 400 millimeter lens. And then if you turn the IBIS off from the body, then turn the lens IS on. That's the best way. to do, then you are all set, because the Sync IS or the Dual IS doesn't work if you mix the lens and the camera brands, which is a pity. I think when they formed the Micro Four Third Consortium, what they called it, they should have made a deal that they will use the same technology. But of course, the thing is that they wanted to have the technology for themselves. If like the IBIS on Olympus cameras is a lot better than the ones in Panasonic, and I can understand that Olympus wants to keep that for themselves. But then, of course, there are some things in Panasonic that could be transferred to Olympus. But maybe they wanted to have some differentiation, and that's why. All right. Hello, Robin. Robin Wong is in the house. How you doing, Robin? How is it? You're still awake? I think, isn't it really late in Malaysia? Yeah, welcome, Robin. That's great. Robin is doing a great job with his channel, and if you haven't already subscribed to his channel, and I think after this live stream you should, and check out all of his videos. You'll learn so much. Oh yes, my sleeping pattern is gone, says Robin. Well, that's a pity. But hey, please join us and you know, let's have some fun and answer the questions if you feel like answering them, or just enjoy the stream. All right, but let's whoops, that was the wrong one. And let's continue with another question. This one was interesting. This one was really interesting. Was that I got a link to an academic study of multiple exposure, and I'm sorry that I have not had time to read it yet, but he asked my thoughts on multiple exposure, and I like it. I think it's a good way of making a bit different looking images. Like you can make a composite images like this one that's in the back. You have the I don't know what you call that in the front, and then you have the background. There's actually two images in the background made in camera, in Olympus camera, where you can actually make multiple exposures in camera. And I think it is a good way of exploring new ways of making images. And the second thing is that you can use it for stacking. That's also a multiple exposure image when you stack images. And when stacking images, you can either, like it says here, you can either stack several images to reduce noise, or then the second one is to stack images to get more depth of field. And this is both a good and very efficient way of doing both of these. The noise reduction with the multiple exposure does not be automatic in Olympus cameras. You need to take a burst of images and then blend them together in post. But when we talk about the depth of field, you can have those images stacked in camera to get more depth of field, which is really a good thing, and that is really a useful feature if you do macro photography. And I bet I'm not sure if you, Robin, use that focus stacking that much. Yeah, this is actually something that it is amazing how I can be in the US and be able to live chat with two photographers in Malaysia and Finland. Yeah, I think to do a live stream when I was a kid, for example, it was not possible. You would have a big, huge 24-wheeler parked in the streets and with the big satellite dishes and you know, all these cables all over the place. Now you can do it. You know, of course, I have all this stuff around me here, but you could actually do the same thing with just mobile. Sorry, with the mobile phone. And I know it's nothing new, but it still amazes me how it's done. It is really amazing. I agree. And let's see what what else do we have? And yeah, then there was a question about the Olympus service. And this is something that I've gotten a lot of questions about here in Finland also, because there was a bit of a downtime on the service. And now it should be working. And then this image is from my trip to Portugal a few years ago, a year and a half, I think it was, when I was in Lisbon, and I rented a car and drove 2 hours north from Lisbon to visit the Olympus service facilities in Portugal. And the way that it works, let me see if I can pull it up. Whoops, let me see if I can get it here. Yeah, and this is the Olympus Europe site, and as you can see, there is no link for cameras in the top anymore. But if you scroll down, you have this, which it says OM Digital Solution website, and yeah, it goes here where you have all the cameras, and then you have this services and support. And if you want to have it on your local, then you go here, and here you have all the countries from Europe and Central and Eastern Europe, and then Middle East and Africa is over here. And let's this question came from Germany, and here you can have it in German, and here you have the pro service and all the information if you have something wrong with your camera. And then in the US, it is getolympus.com, where you can go and you have support, and here you have the same information as I just showed you from the European site. And at least I cannot say about how it goes in the US, but I can say it works in Europe already. And I've had a few comments from Finnish photographers who use Olympus. They had their cameras repaired and it works like it used to be. So they do have the service facilities working already, which is a good thing. It's too bad that they had a little downtime on the service. So if your camera was broken during that time, that's a big fail from Olympus. But it's always when you're transferring your business to another company, there are some glitches that are now most likely solved very well. And I don't know if you have had any trouble contacting the service facilities right now, but right now it should work, and I'm really glad about that. Now that we have gone through the starting of this video and the questions that I got from email and some news about the what do you call the information about the market share in Japan, about Olympus, is time for a Q&A. And if you have any questions and comments, and then let's just chat, and I do have time, so if you have questions, and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. And let's see if we have some questions here in the earlier part. Let me scroll down a bit and see if there are any questions that I have. No, there was some question about, let's see, there is some questions. No, this wasn't actually a question, but the EM10 Mark IV with a 45mm lens, I bet render some great images, which will be close, if not the same as Joseph Olympus middle and top line, my best guess. That's true, because that was actually a good thing that I pulled this up, because the thing is that the sensor is the same in many cameras, and they have a few different sensors in different. Of course, you got the older ones with the 16 megapixel, then you get to 20 megapixels, and you have some upgraded sensors in different cameras. But the image quality, there isn't really a big difference. Of course, the newer cameras have a bit better noise reduction, so there's a bit less noise in the newer cameras. But in general photography, there isn't, to be honest, there isn't really that big of a difference in the image quality. And let's see if there are any other questions. Yeah, this one was, I was thinking that Gil Herme is asking, would you recommend a speed boosters to use MD lenses on my EM10? If you have some old lenses that can be attached with the speed booster, yeah, why not? The only problem is that the best speed boosters, they are quite expensive. Like if you have the Metabones, for example, those cost like 500 to 600, $700 less euros, and those are really expensive. And then the really cheap ones aren't that good. They might, make the image quality a bit less. But if you have them and can get access and can test them, then why not? Because speed boosters are really interesting. They will make the smallest or the largest aperture, or make the lens a bit faster. You might make it one stop faster, which is kind of realize that how does a lens become faster if you add more glass between the lens and the body. But yeah, it will kind of squeezes because it lets more light in, because it also makes the field of view a bit different, and it's an interesting concept. And if you have a possibility to test them, yeah, it is. I know that a lot of people are using speed boosters for video. They have, for example, the Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter lens, and then they use the speed booster. It's 1.8 lens, and so you have a very fast zoom lens for video shooting. And I know it's a very popular lens for video because of that, with the use of what do you call the fastest aperture. Or yeah, okay, then Robin is asking that when is the next team up or shoot out with video collab with Matti? Want to see you both together in a video. Yeah, that is something that we have planned, but right now the situation with the virus is so that you don't want to meet people that much if you don't necessarily have to, and that's a bit of a problem. Of course we can do it outdoors, but anyways, we need to be too close to each other on those, so that's the biggest reason we haven't done those. But yeah, we will continue on those, because those been really fun to make, and people been enjoying those videos, and it's always, we have a little good time with Matti, and it was funny because sometimes we've gotten some comments about the videos that why we kind of like mock each other on those videos. But yeah, we've have fun, because Matti is never right, but he's many times he's not wrong. That's what I used to say, because we never say to each other that you're right. We always say that you're not wrong. And then those things, we have a lot of fun, so we will continue with those. And let me see. Yeah, this is something that Dave Nelson says that I have heard rumors of 100 millimeter macro. Maybe Robin can verify that. I can also say something about that. It was requested, and there was one interview where a Olympus executive says that, yeah, we might want to think about that, because people are wanting that. I would like to have I would like to have one, because I've been mostly pretty close to my home for a year now because of the pandemic, and been doing some local bird photographing, and then doing macro for fun, and that would be a good lens to have. Let's see, it's this one, and and let's see. All right, then Frederick Hedberg is asking, why use mechanical shutter when I can use the electronic shutter? I shoot birds with short shutter speed. Which way is the best? Yeah, if you use really short shutter speeds, then of course the electronic shutter is all right. The problem with electronic shutter is that you have this what do you call it? Now I lost the word. You got the, what is the word? Please help me. It's when the image got a little squeezed. So because with the electronic shutter, it reads the sensor from down to upwards, and if it's a really fast moving subject, it will record the image faster when it's or the image will be exposed first in the bottom of the sensor and then a bit later in the top part. And that's why it might be sometimes not the best way to do it. But otherwise, if you don't have any problems with let's see if rolling shutter, it's the name. Yeah, if you don't have any problems with the rolling shutter, then it's okay to use. Oh, Robin is answering that it's not a rumor. It was on the roadmap, the future roadmap. Oh, right. Yeah, that's so it is not a rumor anymore in that sense. I hope it's going to be a reality. And somebody commented in one of my videos that it would be great if it was compatible with MC14 and MC20 teleconverters. So we would have a 140 or 200 millimeter macro. That would be great. Of course, it wouldn't be as fast, but in macro, it doesn't really matter in most cases. And then Anssi is asking, what's the most fun adapted lens you've used? Well, I have a, which I could actually show you. It's one of these. It's one of these lenses. Let's see if we can focus on this. This is a Lens Baby, a very old Lens Baby 3G. It's very old lens. It's actually a Canon EOS mount, and I have used this with adapters. As you can see, you can squeeze it like this, and you can make really, really wacky images with that. And I think that's one of the most fun special lenses that I've ever used. And let's see. Yeah, this is an interesting question from Paul or a comment that I understand that Sony makes sensors for other camera manufacturers. Could that be a problem in the future? Should Olympus consider designing manufacturing their own? Yeah, this is an interesting question. I don't know how much it costs to design a sensor. Most likely it is very expensive. But of course, it's a problem if there is one company, and that is Sony, that makes most of the sensors in cameras. I don't think it's never said officially what sensor Olympus is using, but everybody suspects that it is made by Sony. And of course, they can kind of like control the market if they don't want to make really or too good sensors for other brands. They want to use themselves and maybe selling a bit less advanced sensors to competitors. I don't know, but yes, that is a problem or can be a problem. So in that sense, it might be a problem in the future. But then if there is no controlling the market so that they will sell the best sensor, then why not having the sensor? If they know how to make the sensor, they already have the technology and they make good sensors, why not buy them from somewhere else? But I would still think that making everything in-house would be the best way. Then you could control your own quality and stuff. But it is an interesting thing. Let's see the next question. Let's see. Do you have any ideas why new OMD did not yet take over the My Olympus part, where we could log on, register our own place, and so on? Let me check if that we were actually looking these. Let's go to UK and Ireland. Let me show you this Olympus site. Yeah, accept all cookies on this time. In the service and support, let's see if there is dealer downloads, warranty regulations, contact, track your repair. No, there actually isn't. Yeah, test and whoa. Yep, but there aren't any. Yeah, you're right. That is interesting. They don't have that. I hope they will, but I will write that down. There's some paper, and I will write that down so I remember. And because I have a online meeting with the Nordic OMDS representative next week, and I will ask about that, and I will get back to this. And let me say the right there. Now I have it here, so I remember that. And let's see, what else do we have? Okay, this is interesting. I can't confirm that Ashhog is saying that Olympus using Panasonic sensor. I read it earlier this week. Yeah, this could be. To be honest, I don't know. I never really ask anybody. Maybe I should ask. I don't really know if that's the case. And let's see. Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting. Dad Nelson is saying, what have you heard about rounded sensors to cure issues? And Robin Wong, do you hear anything about them? Yeah, a curved sensor would be an interesting one, so that you have it kind of like a curved. But what I believe is that it needs new type of lenses. So the current lenses would not work on a curved sensor, because now it's flat and it kind of, or the system works so that it will, make that. But actually, this would make sense, because it is a round lens, is actually a round thing or curved thing, and then you would have a sensor. So that would at least, to kind of like a common sense, would say that the edge sharpness should be as good as in the middle, because nowadays, of course, there's always a bit less sharpness in the corners of the lens. It depends, of course. The better lens, the less there is unsharpness in the corners. But a curved sensor would be good, I think. Not sure. And let's see. Yeah, there is. Lauren is saying about the sensor that I think both Oli and Pani currently use Sony sensors. That's what I've heard, but this is not knowledge, because I really don't know for sure. And we are over 100 people there. This is great. And if you came in earlier, later, this is my thank you Q&A for you guys, because I just hit 40,000 subscribers, which is a huge number. And as I said in the beginning of this video, that every milestone from, you got 1,000, you got 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, they were all huge things. And hopefully I will get 50,000, 100,000 or more later on. Hope that happens, because that tells me that someone likes my content, which is, of course, the reason I make this, so that I can help you guys to be better with your camera and with your photography. So thanks everybody who's subscribed. And if you like my videos, hit the like button and, share the videos to your peers in different groups and friends. And, if there is something that you would think that someone benefits from the content that I've made. And this is interesting. Also, let's talk about some other brand. let's talk a bit Fuji. And Roman is asking Robin that how did you see the new GFX, and asking would you try it? And that's an interesting. It's a beast. It's a mirrorless camera with over 100 megapixel sensor, I think it is, and it's kind of like a medium format camera, and that's a huge thing. And let's see. Yeah, this is interesting. Lauren is saying that Canon makes their own sensors. They also make cameras in Japan, sort of a unique company. I don't know how many brands really make cameras in Japan anymore. They most likely make them in some other countries. But I do have, which I did not. It's not here. It's in the cabinet there. Like the the 50 to 200 millimeter micro, not micro, but the 4/3 lens, that was made in Japan, which I should have mentioned in my video. That it was actually made in Japan. Nowadays, those lenses are most likely made in Vietnam, and I do have some lenses that are made in China because they used to have a factory in China. Now it's transferred to Vietnam. And let's see if we have some more questions or any other things. And then what would be interesting also to hear that what was your last photograph that you have made? And it's not I think it's the right way. Not saying that it's the last, you will make some more, but what is the latest photograph you've taken? What is the thing? Have you learned something new or tried something new? And let's see. Yeah, like this one, Lauren is sorry, not this one. Yeah, it is this one. Yeah, sorry. Dave Nelson is saying that Canon has the fortune to be able to do everything at home since they have been such a huge part of camera industry for so long. And that's true. And also Canon is doing lots and lots of other things also. And they are, if we talk about the camera business, even though they are very late in entering the mirrorless market, I think Canon is really strong, like Sony is really strong. But all other companies, I would really say that they are struggling because of the market. But I think Micro Four Thirds is a unique format, and I think it will survive because of its advantages of many other cameras, because of the size, the weather sealing, the image stabilizer, and everything is such a great features in Olympus cameras, and I think they will survive. Okay, Photosvein says that Svein says that last year was a self-portrait. That's a good one. I haven't made selfies. Well, some thumbnails for my videos. That's probably the last time I've made some selfies, and what I've been doing lately is photographing the bad weather, because that's about what we've had. It's not really that what do you say, inspiring when you have, everything is gray. You don't have any colors. Actually, when you look out the window, it's black and white. You don't see any colors. If there's a colorful car, it's covered with snow and most likely by dirt. So it's black and gray and brown and dirty, and then it has some snow. So you don't see really colors right now, which is a pity. And it's most days now it's getting a bit lighter too, because we get about 6 hours. Now maybe it's even 7 hours of sun for a day, and from sunrise to sunset, which of course means that it's just about 5 hours of daylight, and then there's 1 hour of getting darker and blue hour, which is of course for photography is really nice. And let's see. And then Dave Nelson is asking that, have you heard anything about Nikon having cash flow troubles? Yes, I have, and that's been in the news or in the rumors anyways, and it's not a surprise. I'm not saying Nikon is making really great cameras. It's not that, but it's the whole business is struggling, and to be honest, Nikon does not have that much other things. They might have some what do you call those, binoculars, but that's about it. And that's about it. They don't have that much any problem. Oh, well, this is something interesting. That Nikon Malaysia exited the market here at the same time as Olympus business ended end of 2020. Well, that's bad news. But maybe they are still selling cameras. Dealers are still selling, most likely Nikon, because they might. It's the same thing with Olympus, that you can probably buy a Olympus camera in Malaysia, right? Even though they don't have a local office anymore. And Phil is asking if I have tried doing photography with drones. Actually, I have. Yeah, I've done some video work. I do have a DJI Mavic 2 drone which I use for my professional video work, and I've had a few gigs where I've used it, and then of course do some aerial photography with it. And it's an interesting genre of photographs in photography, because it is something that we haven't really seen that much. And most drone shots that I see are not really good photographs, but they still might be interesting because it's a totally new perspective on a new view that we haven't seen that much, and we can't do with our regular cameras because we can't lift them up. And yes, I have, and it's really interesting to do. And what I've wanted to try is that a few months ago I got some things for my drone that I can attach few lights to it, so that I could do some light painting with the drone, and that could be cool to use live composite with that. But now that the weather's been so bad, I don't want to use it when it's raining or a heavy snowstorm. It just doesn't work on that, because it's not that good weather sealed, and I don't want to crash it, because those aren't actually quite cheap. But light painting with the drone is something that I will do when the weather gets better. Let's see. And this is asking, will I be posting new pics on Instagram? I will, yes, I will in a few days, probably. I've been a bit lazy on that, because I want those images that I post to be my best images or most interesting images. And to be honest, in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, I haven't really gotten that great images. Sometimes just it is. But as I said earlier, that the weather hasn't been very good. It's not very inspiring when you don't have any colors. You get this, lots of gray stuff, mostly gray. Not even when the sun is behind the clouds and you have thick clouds, it's pretty dark, and there are no shadows, no highlights, nothing. Everything is flat, so it's not very inspiring to make images. Let's see. Yeah, Paul is asking, how about AI in Olympus cameras? And yeah, I made a video about OM Digital Solutions, what we know so far. It was my video, I think it was Tuesday, was it? Anyways, there I said that AI is something, and computational imaging is something that I think camera manufacturers should apply, because you can get amazing results with a smartphone. You even have a blurred background with some computational imaging. It's kind of like knows where the face is, and it can blur the background. And for most people, that looks really genuine bokeh, and they think that it's a magnificent image. Of course, if you're a photographer, you can see almost immediately that it's not real. It's not optically made. It's made by a computer. But for most people, it doesn't really matter. They just see that it's a great image. And something like that, yeah, why not have in a regular camera? Because if this has the computer power and juice in this thing, so that the computer inside the smartphone can do it, then why not a camera which has more room to put the computer in, can even have bigger or better computers, maybe, I don't know, maybe. And that's why I think that is something that they should consider, because the biggest reason for camera business to go down is these smartphones. As I was saying earlier in the live stream, that might be the best camera that you have, if that's the only camera you have. And we do use smartphones a lot for photography. At least I do. It's more, I don't really publish them in publicly in social media. I might send a photograph of some funny things to my family and, hey, look what this is. But it's more like having memories and recording your memories with the smartphone. Sometimes there might be a really good image too, but still it is because of the computational imaging, and I think that is a good thing that I think they should do. And of course, then we have the what do you call the subject recognition AI in EM1X, which is great. And I have a few videos about the bird detection AI that the EM1X has, which is really great. It makes bird photography so much easier. So if you're into that, you might want to consider and see if X is something that you might want to have. But of course, it's a bit of a different Micro Four Thirds camera, because it is, for Micro Four Thirds, it is quite big. But let's continue and see what else do we have here. And then Roman is asking, do you think something like Luminar AI in camera would be interesting? Instant sky replacement, planets and animals in the picture. Well, first I have to say that I don't think the sky replacement, planets and animals would be a good idea to have in a camera. But I've done some sky replacement, but that's only for commercial photography. But I would never really want to change the sky in my own photographs that I've taken for my own purposes or my memories or whatever, because I think that would be cheesy. But for commercial work, why not? But the planets and the animals things that Luminar AI can offer is not something that I like. But it's also a interesting concept. If you haven't tried Luminar AI for your image editing, I think you should, just to check it out what it is, because it is actually a really, really good software where you can have some starting points as what they call templates. They have different templates, and the AI will recognize your image, and then it will suggest something that you might want to do with your images. And then of course you can tweak the template so it's not automated in that sense. But it is an interesting way. And where I use Luminar AI is if I have a photo shoot with portraits, if I have to shoot portraits for someone, and there are tons of images. Usually you take different ones, and then you might end up with a lot of images. There I use Luminar AI because it has the AI, and it can recognize your eyes, your mouth, your skin, and it will automatically, let's say, that make a bit of a softer skin and might whiten your teeth. You can do that with other softwares, but the problem is that, for example, in Lightroom, if I'm here and smiling, and then in the next one I'm like this, the teeth are not in the same place, and Lightroom cannot figure out that the teeth had moved to a different place on the composition. But Luminar AI can find them, so you can actually fix lots and lots of images really fast. And that's why I use Luminar AI in my portrait shoots, which I haven't had that many, but the few that I have. And in that one, it is really fast. But I haven't used it for regular photography that much. Let's see the next one. Yeah, Anssi has a point here that it is sad how manufacturers get fewer and fewer, less consumer option and competition. And yeah, this is spot on. I think it's a pity if, let's say, that Nikon vanishes from the market. I think it would be a disaster for market. Of course, it is a competition for other manufacturers, but that will make the whole business smaller if a big player goes out of the market. So I do not want any. I would love to have some more for more camera manufacturers. It would be great if DJI, which is actually owns Hasselblad, so they could actually make, if DJI made a mirrorless DSLR, that would be really interesting. It's not DSLR, no, mirrorless camera. That would be cool. So I would love to have more camera manufacturer entering the market. And let's see, then there is Raymond, Photo Austria. What do you think about one EM Mark I with the micro four adapter and MD rocker 50mm? Yeah, sounds interesting. That would be actually a 100mm f1.2 lens, which is a nice shallow depth of field on that one, most likely. So yeah, sounds very good. I don't know how good the lens, but Rockor is a brand that used to make. I think it was Minolta, was it, that used Rockor, and I think in that would be a very, very good and interesting combination. And I don't know, have you tried it already, or you're just planning on getting or might get one? Yeah, this is so true that Lawrence is saying that smartphone is the modern day version of a Kodak Instamatic camera. And the funny thing is that when 120 years ago, I think it was, or even a bit longer, when Kodak announced their Brownie camera, and it was a big concern for what they call real photographers, which they then defined to be the ones that with big cameras and tripods. They even called them like tripod photographers, and they were appalled that they have this small camera that everybody can use, so it will ruin photography. And that's something that I've sometimes, and I probably most likely will make a video about how many times photography has died. It's actually hilarious that we still talk about, the format, the sensor size. Then they used to call the film size, because some people thought that the film should be this big, and it is hilarious to read old conversations about photography, because it's been dead many times, or died many times, but I think it's still alive. And let's see. And let's see if we have. It's Roman K here. Would be great idea if Samsung came back, and I agree. And it was kind of strange that they had a very good camera. I don't remember I think of the NX1. I think it was the first time I saw it was, I don't know, maybe 2016 in Photokina. Could have been 14 or 16. I don't remember. And it was astonishing camera, because it had really great features. And I think if I don't remember correctly, it had some kind of a pro capture feature in it. And then they also kind of like killed it in overnight. And there was a guy that I know who worked for Samsung cameras, and now works for Fuji Finland here. And he was like, when he was telling me someday, it was like on just one Monday morning, they said that there is no more Samsung cameras. So it was that fast, and that's a pity. And let's see, what else do we have? Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. Lauren says that he still has a Kodak Brownie holiday flash camera. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. You should post a photograph of it somewhere. Sometimes it'd be nice to see what it looks like. And then there is this question: have you ever used Panasonic lens on an Olympus body? Paul Richardson is asking, and yes, I have. And I was talking earlier about the compatibility, and for normal photography, they work perfectly. There might be some features like the image stabilizer that you need to decide to have it either on your camera body or lens. You cannot have them both on. It doesn't work, because the lens IS that Panasonic has is a bit different than Olympus has. So that doesn't work. So the dual IS and Sync IS are not compatible with each other. But otherwise, no problem using them. There is a small difference is that the focusing ring turns the other way, when you turn this way, and so it's the other. If you want to go closer, it's have to turn it the other way. And Olympus cameras, and it's a bit. If you need to focus fast manually, then it's a bit of a problem. In that sense. And yeah, what's interesting, in the beginning of XX century, Kodak was number one on the camera market. Yeah, they were, and they were also one of the biggest companies in the world when in the heydays of film, and everybody was using Kodak. But then actually it was Fuji who started taking the market in the late 80s. And I remember that there was a switch, because I was using Kodak, and then not everybody, but the younger, when I was younger, everybody that was younger started using Fuji because it had better colors. They had the Fuji Velvia, and they got the Fuji Real, and then they had, I don't remember all the brands anymore, but they were actually I like the colors better than Kodak colors. Kodak was a bit cooler color. It was more blue, and so it was a switch. And then of course, Kodak messed up with the digital world, even though they made the first digital camera. And talking about Kodak, and when you talk about Kodak, have someone tried a Kodak MFT lens or gear? Is there? I would love to test if there is. If there are any links. If there are any links, I never heard that Kodak had made any Micro Four Third gear. And let's see, Roman is asking, you have the original Pen F with the portrait-oriented sensor. Do you think a new Pen F with the same orientation of image would be interesting? Well, that's an interesting question. I don't know if that would be something. Maybe it would. I don't have an answer to that, but that would be a really interesting concept and a pretty bold move if they did that. But what I would love if OMDS would make a Pen F Mark II to have the ultimate street photography camera. That would be great. They needed to add some weather sealing and the newest sensor and some features from the AF, from let's say the EM1 Mark III AF to that camera would be really interesting and great. But I don't know if that would probably be a big concern and would get a lot of attention, I would say that. But of course, that doesn't sell any cameras necessarily. But that would be totally interesting. That's I've never really actually thought about it, but that would definitely be interesting. Or to have a square sensor, so it doesn't matter which way you hold the camera. You can always do this and then crop it later to be vertical or horizontal mode. That would also be interesting. And let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, this is like Dave Nelson is saying, I personally miss Tri-X for awesome speed and fun grain when pushed to 1600 ASA, which is ASA, I think it is. Yeah, which is actually the same value as ISO or ISO or whatever, how you pronounce it. And yeah, it was because nowadays we can use cameras with ISO 3200, 6400. It's no problem. You can if you don't like the noise level, then you can just lower the noise with noise reduction software or in camera or in post. But back in the days, 400 ASA, which is equal to 400 ISO, was really you can use, because the grain and the grain, which was the noise of film era, was a bit better looking than noise is actually. But then I remember when I did some weddings during the film era, it was a big thing when 800 ISO, when 1600 ISO films were introduced, even though the grain was big like a golf ball. So it wasn't, you didn't get any sharp images, but you could get images that were kind of like sharp looking. And that was huge thing back in the days. But nowadays, you got astonishing high ISO, which you could not dream of those back in the film era. Oh yeah, one of my favorite films in like negative film was Kodak Ektar. It had beautiful colors and it was so sharp. And then Dragos is asking, what do you think from portraits only perspective about Olympus 60 f2.8 versus Sigma 56mm f1.4? That is a tough question. The fastest aperture is not a problem, because very seldom would you want to use the fastest aperture when you're doing portraits. Of course you can, but then you have to be really careful with the focusing, because if the focus is in the tip of a nose, you might have some blurred eyes already, even with the Micro Four Thirds if you go full open. that's possible. So in that sense, it's not. I would say that if you don't need a macro, then I know that this is not the answer that Olympus wants me to say, but I would get the 56mm Sigma. I've tested it once, and it's a great lens. But of course, 60mm macro lens is more versatile. If you want also to shoot macro, then get that one. And of course, it depends on the price. They're probably about the same price, I think. So that's something that you should of course always consider. But if it's only for portraits, then I might go with the Sigma. And let's see. And then Roland is from Brussels, and hope you will regain your status as a visionary for the brand. What is the latest on that point? Well, I do have an agreement that most likely I will sign to be a Olympus ambassador if it's OMDS. I don't know. Most likely it will be Olympus ambassador. But about the visionary program and the ambassador program, it's still a bit open, and not all details, I think, are told to us yet. I know that if those who had contract ending, let's say end of this year, they still remain, and then they might get a new contract or not in the end of this year, or my contract ended in the end of this year, and then end of last year. So at the moment, I don't have an official way, but we've talked about it, and I have a meeting with them next week, so we'll have more news hopefully next week about that. But it's not, let's say, a matter of life and death if I won't, or they won't want me anymore for some reason. I will still use Olympus cameras, no problem with that, and I know that I can get stuff to test from them if I need to and want to. So it's not a big deal in that sense, but I would say that I think it would be for the brand. I think it would be good if they had kept most of the visionaries. That would mean continuity for the brand. If there is a kind of like a stop for that, and old visionaries start buying other brand gear, then I don't think it looks very good for if we look at from the Olympus side of the equation. But yeah, next week I might have some more news. And let's see. And Lauren is asking, will the label on Olympus camera change to read OMD instead? Not at the moment, I think. I think they will have the Olympus brand still, at least for now. But maybe you never know in the coming years what happens if Olympus, because we have to remember that OMD, that OMDS is owned also by Olympus, the medical company. They have a 5% share of the OMDS company. So they have Olympus brand and M.Zuiko or Zuiko brand still in OMDS. That's what we know now. But, we never know what happens in let's say 5 years. It could be a totally different brand. But for now, I think it's an important thing to have Olympus brand, because that's known brand. Nobody knows what an OMDS camera would be, or the brand. If that would be really hard to sell a camera with totally different brand, I think. That's my opinion anyways. Oops. Let's see what we do. Yeah, this was actually something that I was talking about in one of the last videos last year, that if I'm getting a new camera today, would I get the EM1 Mark III or the EM1X? And on that video, I said that I'm going to buy. I haven't bought anything yet. I most likely will, something in the near future. But which one would it be, the EM1 Mark III or the EM1X? Let's say that I really like the X because of the new bird photography algorithm, because that's something that I've been doing lately, just as a new thing, photographing some birds here in the neighborhood here, pretty close to my house, because it is something new and it's great to learn something new. But if I only think about my work, which is mostly photographing people, portraits, corporate editorials, and stuff like that, which usually include people, then the EM1 Mark III is better because it has better face and eye detection on the AF. So it's a tough call. It's a tough call. Both cameras are nice. I would love to have them both, but probably it's not probably possible. So we will see on that. So, and if you are considering, then you need to consider, of course, the size, the price, and then what you need, because they have a bit different features, which I think it's a pity. I think EM1X should have all the features that Olympus can make or have in their cameras. It should be the flagship that has everything. That's my opinion. But it doesn't. So it lacks the starry AF, and the face and eye detection is not as good as it is with EM1 Mark III. So it's a matter of what you need and what are you shooting. That's my take on that. And let's see, what else do we have? We've been here an hour and a half, and we still have about 100 people watching, which is a huge amount. And let's see what it is. What else do we have? Oh, this is interesting. Like Dave Nelson is saying, I am seriously considering getting a Minolta AS-RT 101 again after 50 years selling my first one. Oh, that'd be cool. Please let us know if you get one, and share some of your thoughts somewhere, and link them to us, because that would be so cool. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see if I go back a bit, if I missed something here, because if there's something, if you have answered something earlier and you're still here and I haven't answered, please just ask it again. So I might have missed something here, because it's always so many things to look around when you're doing live streams. And yeah, it's still on you. I have the YouTube over there, so I can see that I'm still online. It's been about an hour and 20 minutes. I'll go a bit back and see. Yeah, this is actually about go back to the sensor questions. That does Fuji make its own digital sensors, because they were just amazing on the X100? I think, yeah, Fuji makes, because they have a bit of a different sensor. It's a different system. It's not the traditional Bayer array thing. It's a bit different. And I think they make their own sensors. There are good advantages on that, but then of course there is some problems sometimes been with Lightroom, which is widely used, and there's been some problems with Fuji RAW files with Lightroom. So there is also a downside if you do things a bit differently. But I know that they can make really great images, or good quality images with that. Let's see. If I missed something, I'm scrolling back here and looking if I have missed something. If I've missed something, let's see. Not really. I think I have. And as I said, if there is something that you have asked and I missed it and you're still here, please ask again, because I try to answer as many as possible. Let's see. Yeah. Where did that come from? Spicy food before the live streams. I don't think I had that. Actually, I had some food before, but it wasn't that spicy. That's a good one. I wonder where that came from. It was my face too yellow and red on the. It's actually pretty warm in my office right now, because I need to have the door closed, because there are other people behind the door and there's some noise. Let's see. Well, hi Art from Poland. That's not that far from Finland. And let's see if you have some more questions, please hit it and ask me anything. And Markku Katajamäki is I suspect that he's a Finn because of the name. Have you thinking of making a book Well, not lately. Actually, I've made several books. I've made books. My first book I made 2004, but it was a book for people that photograph as part of their work. They are not photographers. They are like PR persons that might sometimes need to take photographs. For those, I've made a book and also had some courses. And then I made some books for Canon in 2008 till 2010, I think it was, or 12, somewhere around there when the camera sales was really, really high, and they had this book. If you bought a Canon, some EOS 500, 550, 600, you got this book that was called Better Images with Canon, and that was a big project. But I might make a book about photography, a refreshed version of the one for PR persons who are making images as part of their work. But I haven't made any books that are only images, if that's what you mean with a photo book. I haven't done that, but that would be probably a good something interesting that I might do. Whoops, this thing doesn't work. That let's see. This is something interesting. Flatlanding is asking, shooting with my EM5 Mark II, strange question, but my daughter has blue eyes and I wanted to take a picture with that cheesy partial Carl Alf filter, but it doesn't work on her eye. Oh, really? That's interesting. I've never really tried that. So what you wanted to do is that only her blue eyes show and nothing else. What you should do, you can do it in post. Just make the image, 2 images of the same file, one black and white and one color, and then just copy the eyes to the black and white, and that should do it. I'm not a big fan of those kind of like those spot color images, but yeah, it could work with like that. With if you have a black and white image and then only blue eyes, it could work. But maybe the eyes are too small for the camera to recognize. Maybe if you try to go really close and see if it works that way. I don't know. That's an interesting. Never really I tried that. So like that. Yeah, this is an interesting question from Fernando Banner. What do you think about the Zeiss ZX1 new camera concept? Is it the future? I think it's an interesting concept that it's actually a camera that was introduced in 2018 in Photokina. Well, actually not in Photokina, but at the same time. They didn't have a booth, but they had a press conference in the same area as Photokina was. And it's a camera that has Lightroom built in. It's like you have on a smartphone, you have kind of like a mobile Lightroom inside the camera. And I think it's a good idea. The only problem is that it's very expensive. I think it's like 7,000 euros, the camera. I've never tested it and I don't know how good it is. Most likely because it's a size, it is good a camera. But I don't know if I really wanted to have Lightroom necessarily in my camera. Of course, if I could edit the image with Lightroom on my camera and then send it straight to social media somewhere, let's say like Instagram, for example, then yeah, why not? That could be a good, like a social media camera, one of those. But of course, the price should be something else than 7,000. But I don't know if that's anyways interesting concept, and why not having an option, something like that, because the processing power most likely is there already in the cameras because they have very, very good processors and very powerful processors. So it could be done. That'd be totally interesting. But yeah, I like concepts like that, and I really like that camera companies do that, make some crazy cameras. And like I had the quirky Olympus cameras video where there was some really, really strange Olympus cameras. And if you haven't watched it, and then after this, go and check that out. And yeah, then we have about the Olympus lens roadmap, which will be presented in 2021. No, I haven't heard any new lens roadmaps. There is a photo fair called CP Plus in about a month in Japan, and OMD Digital Solutions is there present. They will have a presentation there, and it's of course it's an online event, and they will tell something. And I hope they will present the new lens roadmap for this year, and hopefully add something interesting to that. What kind of a telephoto lens would you like to have, Art B? That'd be also interesting to hear. Oh. Yeah, this is interesting. Like Roman K says that, don't you think that companies like Olympus are too traditional? Would it be good to have some 15 to 18-year-old people in the design committee for having new ideas? Yeah, I totally agree that they are very conservative, especially Japanese companies. I think are especially traditional and conservative in that sense, that they don't want to try new things, and they should try more bold things and take some risks also. And having, really young people there to give their opinion. I don't know if they use it. I know that when EPL9 came, there was one Finnish photographer, a pretty famous blogger from not Helsinki, but from Finland, called Veera Korhonen, who is a photographer in a newspaper and uses Olympus cameras. And he was, or she was, a part of the design team on EPL9, or not the design team, but he was in the board, not a board, but a group of photographers who gave their opinion about the camera. But like I was talking to her and asked her why EPL9 does not have a mic jack. If it is a vlogger's camera, it doesn't have. And she said that, I don't know, that's why not. So it doesn't always help that that their ideas are not ones that will be there, because I don't understand if you market a camera as a great vlogging camera and then you don't have a mic jack so that you can put a external microphone on the camera, and I don't think it's any use. Of course, Olympus has these recorders, but then there's always the syncing thing. But yeah, I would totally like if there were younger people designing the cameras. It's like way back in the 50s when MKIII came to the Olympus company. He was a really young designer, and he's made some great cameras. And something like that would be totally awesome if Olympus could find a new MKIII. And then Tony B asks, if Olympus disappears from the market, would you change systems straight away? No, I would not. I would use my Olympus gear, because it doesn't mean that if let's say that they just tell that, okay, it's no use making Olympus cameras anymore. If they say that, of course, it would be a bad thing. I wouldn't like it, but I would use Olympus cameras because my cameras would still be as good as they are right now. It doesn't really matter. But of course, after a few years, when the technology goes forward, and as a professional, I use my cameras quite a lot. They wear out, and if I cannot replace it with Olympus, of course, then I would have to consider something else. But I would not straight away. I would not. No way. And then, let's see. Did I miss something? Yeah, then Jonas is asking, can you do a live stream or video with Jari Peltomäki? I'd like to hear his experience about the new 150 to 400 millimeter Pro lens. Actually, I have a video where I interviewed Jari about the lens, because he was one of the first here in Finland that could test the lens, and I did not have the possibility to make a video for the launch about that had my own experience. So I interviewed Jari Peltomäki, and yes, we have actually planned a video together, but we haven't really done that yet, but we will. So look for that. Is there? Oh yeah, it's a mirror. Look at that. Yeah. I'm actually a mirror. I don't know why that is actually. Let's see what we have. And this is Robbie is asking, hi Peter, will my M1X automatically switch off the IBIS when I attach my Panasonic 100 to 400 with OIS, which I just purchased recently? Welcome from Northern Ireland. Now I haven't tested it with EM1X, but I think you need to turn the IBIS off if you're using the IBIS, or not the IBIS, but the IS on the lens, which I think is usually on a longer lenses, it's better to have the lens IS on rather than the one in the body, because the movement is too big in the sensor. So that's why it's harder. Yeah, and then Bob Finley asked, you used to record videos in front of your bookcase. Which of these books were a strong influence on you? Well, quite a lot, but as a portrait photographer, the Richard Avedon books are most likely the ones that have influenced my, because I like the portraits to be quite simple. Of course, I do have some books for like the Dave LaChapelle, I think his name is LaChapelle anyways, who does the opposite. But I would say that Richard Avedon is the one that has influenced me more. I have several books. They are actually on that side. They used to be there, but now they're over there. But yeah, photo books are really something that I really enjoy watching. Otherwise, I read everything from online on devices like this. But then when I want to really look at good photographs, I think a book is the best. Of course, exhibitions, which are not the way right now because of the situation, but I would consider everybody to check out photo books, which I think are really good. Let's see. And then Jao Lelo says, I have my EM1 Mark II with Pro lens. I photograph cityscapes at night and have problems with ISO over 2000. Is that normal, or am I doing something wrong? Well, it's really hard to say without seeing the images. Of course, if you have high ISO with a fairly small sensor, which is of course the a bit of a downside on Micro Four Thirds, that it might be a bit noisier. But the best way to do that is to try to expose the image as bright as possible without blowing out the highlights. And then in post, just lower the exposure a bit. Then you would have a bit better image quality. If you need to make the image brighter in post, then you will introduce the noise. It will reveal the noise. So that's my first take on that. And then if you still have some problems and feel that it's not good enough, go to my channel and look for video called Noise Reduction in Camera. There's a lot of tips about how to get rid of noise in camera so that you can make the best possible original image and best possible raw file for your scene. Hope that helps, but go check out that video. That most likely will help on that. And then Flyby Happiness is commenting about and asking about the sensors. How is it with Olympus? Do they produce their own sensor, or do they outsource it from third party? Well, it's not official, but unofficially I can say that Olympus is not making their own sensors, and most likely it is a Sony sensor. But this is only my guess. I don't know that, but that's the general knowledge that we have. Why is your shirt mirror written? It's not. I don't know why this is a mirror image on my stream right now. I don't know. Something went wrong with. I don't know. And maybe I should turn the LCD screen the other way around. Sorry about that. It's a it is a mirror image. And then Marcus has a luxury problem. I love these luxury problems. What first pro lens to buy for my new EM1 Mark III? Torn between 12 to 100, 12 to 45, 12 to 40, and 400, 40 to 150. Well, the biggest question, of course, is what are you photographing? And let's skip, which is a luxury problem, let's skip the budget on this one. What I would get, if you want to have it all, I would get to 12 to 40 and then to 40 to 150. Then you all covered. You don't actually need any more lenses. And then the compromise is 12 to 100 millimeter. That's if you only need or want to have one lens. That's a really versatile lens. Of course, it's f4. The other two lenses are f2.8 if that matters for you. And then the 12 to 40 on this occasion, I would probably skip that because I personally like that lens, but there are a few downsides. It doesn't have the MF clutch, and it's f4. That's then if you want to, if f4 doesn't matter, I would get to 12 to 100. And on this, if you had some other cameras, then I would probably get to 12 to 45. But I would, I would go with the two lenses, or then 12 to 100 if you want only one lens. Yes, and let's see. Yeah, 12 to 60 millimeter lens would be perfect. And what's funny that they used to have in the 4/3 lineup, there was a 12 to 60 millimeter lens. And I don't know why they made to 12 to 40. It could have been, maybe it's because they made to 40 to 150 instead of the 50 to 200 like they used to have. And let's see. And Flat Landing has another question. Let's say I'm doing a video project in which I want to include photograph. Is it better to photograph in 16:9 aspect ratio or just crop in post-production? Well, it depends on your style. If you want to crop it later, then it's better to use the 4:3. But if you know your composition and you can crop your images in camera perfectly, then I would use 16:9. What I do is most images that I make, I shoot raw and 16:9. But when I take the images to Lightroom, it will show it 16:9. But when I press the crop tool, it will show the 4:3. So there you have some cropping. You can, slide to 16:9 like this or make it narrow a bit smaller. So I would use 16:9 so that you can crop the image so that everything fits in, and then in post, you still have, if you shoot raw, you still have the whole area 4:3. If you use Lightroom, at least, then you have it. Did that make sense? Did you understand what I meant? If not, please ask again. And let's see. This. Let's see. What else do we have? Because this keeps okay. Now I'm back because this where I have these comments, it keeps going back and forth automatically. Yeah, Vicky is asking a question that I get a lot of questions about. If Olympus/OMD will not go on at some time, which company would you choose instead? And so, what camera would I choose if Olympus did not make any cameras anymore, OMD? Most likely I would first try Fuji. There's something about Fuji that I like, because that was actually when I switched from 2014, when I switched from Canon to another brand. Fuji was one of the brands that I was considering, but I went with Olympus because I liked the smaller form factor of the body. I just wanted to have smaller gear back then, and Fuji did not have that many options at the time, but now they do have a bit better options also. So most likely I would go first with Fuji. And let's see. What else do we have? let's go. Dave Nelson says it doesn't live composite cure some noise issues. In theory, yes, it does, because it's stack images. And that also could be used. But not really sure if nothing changes in the image, which is, well, not changes, but becomes brighter, then I don't think it will. But it will if you've used it and want to have this live composite effect, and you have these light trails, then yes, it will, because it stacks images and it will have less noise than just to have a long exposure with the same image. It does, yes. And let's see. Okay, thank you, Paji, for your kind words. Let's see. Yeah, this is something that Lauren saying that Olympus EM10 Mark IV has the new sensor and other updates. Go with that one instead of Mark III. I own the Mark II, which is a metal body, a good one. Yes, I think Olympus made a big mistake with the EM10 Mark III, which they kind of like crippled some of the features and made it too simple, because EM10 Mark II and EM10 Mark IV are really great cameras, but the 3 version isn't the best, because it can produce good images, and if you don't need the special features, then just go for it. It doesn't matter, and if you get it really with a good price, then no problem with that. But if you have the choice, then I would go with the EM10 Mark IV. It's a better camera. What is approximately count of pictures you take per year? How often do you need to rechange shutter in your OMD? Well, actually, I take about 25,000 images a year, so not problem with the sensor. The biggest amount has been over 50,000, and the least amount been a bit less than 20,000. I don't shoot really that much. Of course, I go out and photograph quite often, but I don't take that many images. I'm really, not one of those that takes really tons of images. Of course, now I've been a bit more because of the bird photography, which of course I use more. I need to take more images because I'm not that good at it. I need to have a massive amount to get a few good ones, and that's why. But otherwise, I'm not really one of those photographers that shoot really a lot of pictures. I try to keep it as minimum. I don't know why, because there's no reason. But it's something that I've learned from film era. It's just the way I shoot, is that I try to think before I click the shutter, and that's why I don't need to take that many images. It's just the way I do. It's nothing wrong taking a lot of images. The only thing that matters is the images that you show publicly that are good. It doesn't matter if you have 100,000 of really bad images. If you have the good ones that are needed, then you're all set. Let's see. What else? What else? Yeah, this is the interesting thing that I've heard a lot, that this 12 to 60 millimeter 4/3 lens is one of the best lenses Olympus ever made, and I've never tested that, but that is something that I might test if I can get hold of one. And I might even buy one if I can get a really good deal on one of those lenses, but that remains to be seen. And let's see. Let's see. Roman is asking, from your experience, would it be possible to have a 12 to 45 millimeter f1.8 weather sealed camera designed like the collapsible Zuiko 14 to 42 kit lens? It would be great if that was possible, but I don't know if it is. No idea if it was possible. I really don't know the technical things that it requires to have a lens like that. But that would be a great lens if that was possible. Most likely it would be a bit too big, because you have to have a quite big front element with the 45 1.8. Well, as a zoom anyways, because it is quite big, even though actually the 45 millimeter f1.8 lens isn't that big. Let's see. Super Duper is asking that about EM1 Mark II versus Mark III as my next bigger and long-term investment into pro body. I would like to hear your thoughts on this, since the price difference, especially in used market, is huge. Well, this is a tough question. There's nothing wrong with EM1 Mark II. I use it. I think it's my most used camera, even though this one I'm filming with EM1 Mark III. And there are some things that are better in EM1 Mark III, but there aren't that many, and it depends on what you are shooting. If it's your first pro camera, I would probably look for the EM1 Mark II. If you can get it with a reasonable price and it's in good condition, you can get it used with fairly low price, and you can go a long way with that. It's not the camera that will hold you back. But of course, if you have the money and if you want to invest a bit more, of course, a new camera is a bit better. The image quality wise, there is not much difference. The EM1 Mark III has a bit better AF, and especially the continuous autofocus is better, and it has better tracking. So if you're photographing a lot of moving subject, then the EM1 Mark III might be a better camera. But as I said, I used the EM1 Mark II more than I used the EM1 Mark III. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. But either way, I don't think you go wrong anyways. Yeah, this is also an important thing. Like Victor Skorpan is asking that how do I store and manage my pictures and photos. I do have them on hard drives. Of course, I have backups, and what I usually do is that when I come in from a photo shoot, it doesn't matter if it's my personal work or some commercial work, I always upload my images to my computer and then make a backup for another hard drive, and then I save the memory cards as long as the project is done, and then I'll format and take them, use them again. And yeah, having backups is the best way to do. But of course, you need to check your hard drives that your backups are up to date, and especially for commercial work, I have 2 backups, the originals and then 2 backups, just because, and then of course the memory card. So I have them in 4 places, and that's because I would lose money if the images were destroyed. For my own project, I got the original and then 1 copy, because of course it would be a disaster if I lost those images, but in most cases it is not, so, because it's only for my own purpose. But having backups is an important thing. And of course, if you have the possibility to have your backup hard drive somewhere else than your original, it would be a good thing. And of course, some cloud services, which I have used before, but the problem with those are that it takes ages to upload and download the images. Usually, I have a fairly fast internet connection, but still, the servers aren't that fast. Most of them are in the US, and it's just the traffic is so huge. It takes a lot of time, so I don't really use the cloud services that much. And Roman is asking, do you prefer metal body or plastic like the newest Olympus? For me, it should feel lightweight in your hand, so I go metal. I don't really matter, as long as it is durable and weather sealed, and it doesn't, feel that it's going to break if something happens. And I know a lot of people were complaining about the EM5 Mark III, that it was plastic body, and I remember using the word plastic on my video, and it got tons and tons of negative stuff on the camera. It's actually plastic is a wrong word. I think it is something else. It's not metal body, but it's something else than just plain plastic. But it is quite durable camera anyway, so I don't really mind that. But of course, if a camera is too light, it doesn't feel good in your hand. There has to be some feel of weight in the camera. It's also, if the camera weighs a bit more, then it is also more sturdy, and it's actually better to hold and have longer shutter speeds. If it's too light, then it doesn't feel that good. But of course, a very heavy camera is not good either. And Dave Nelson is asking about the software. I use Lightroom. It has good database, and it can do a lot of things. You can edit images, you can share them, you can do everything with the images, and you can send them to different. You can send them straight from Lightroom via plugins to Photoshop, Topaz Lab, Photo Lab, Gigapixel, and other software, which is usually a good thing. So if sometimes I use, let's say like Luminar, I use Luminar AI sometimes for my portraits. It's easy to send the images to Luminar or other software. So Lightroom is the one that I use. Yeah, Photo Mechanic is a good software if you use or take lots and lots of photographs. Like I know that photojournalists and sports photographers use it. And when I used to shoot sports way back in early, I think it was 2004, 2005, and around there, I used Photo Mechanic to make the the keywords and players' names and stuff. It was really, really fast on that. And I will get back to the membership thing later. Yeah, polycarbonate is probably the right word. When I was saying plastic, yeah, polycarbonate most likely is the right word. As I said, I have sometimes hard time to. Okay, then Lauren says about Photoscape X is a free and in Windows and Mac OS stores on your PC. All right, I need to check that out. And then Anssi is asking thoughts on printing photos. Do you ever care how many ink prints got, gloss or matte? Guess this is a lost art. I kind of miss physical photos myself. Yeah, that's a good question, Anssi. And same here. As I said earlier, that I have quite a few photo books over there, and I, sometimes just grab a book and look some great photographs and in the book. But I used to have a printer and printed quite a lot of photographs. I used to have the place we lived before we moved into this place where we live now. I had one small wall painted with magnetic paint, and I had prints on that with magnets, and that was easy to change and make another one. And that was a kind of like a changing exhibition indoors in our place. But right now I don't print my images, and maybe I should, but I haven't really gotten around to look what kind of printers there are, because what it used to be is that I didn't print that often, and at least back then the problem was that the ink got dried and I had to buy new inks every time I printed, and it was really expensive. But I guess those printers are better than they used to be. So that, but yeah, I should print more. Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Get a breakfast burrito. All right, yeah. That's a good one. All right, then Super Duper is asking, in the DxO Photo Lab noise reduction video, you had pretty optimal noise in the pictures, but how high of an ISO have you managed to save with it? The D Prime is really big game changer for Micro Four Thirds. Yes, and I really recommend that software. If you haven't seen the video about the DxO Mark Photo Lab 4, check out it from my channel because it is astonishing, and it is, like Super Duper says, it is a game changer because it can clean up really high ISO images. I haven't really tried higher than 6400 ISO. I think that's something good, but 12,800 ISO is manageable with DxO Photo Lab with D Prime. Of course, it starts to lose a bit of a detail, but you can try that. And there is a trial version for the DxO Photo Lab 4, so you might want to try it. It's a bit overwhelming when you look at all the stuff and bells and whistles, but it's noise reduction and D Prime is the tool that I use quite a lot. And then you can check the modules on so that it will recognize the camera and the lens, and it will optimize everything for that particular combination. And that's why DxO Photo Lab 4 is, I think, the best image, can produce the best image quality. For workflow, which is important, of course, it's not the best. That's why I like to use Lightroom, because the work flow is the best with Lightroom. And it's been 2 hours, and I really want to thank everyone about let's see, I can't find that. And thank you so much for being here. And of course, subscribe to my channel and like, comment. That's so much appreciated. And all these people here that have been asking questions, answering other questions is totally great. Let's hide that, sorry. And yeah, this was this time the Q&A for this time, and thanking you for all the support and everything that you have done, liked, subscribed, commented, and watched my videos. It means a lot to me, and I hope I can help you for the next 40,000 new subscribers coming in, hopefully really fast, and we can make this channel even better. But I need your help. Watch my videos, like the videos, and if you haven't subscribed yet, do that. But thank you so much for this. It's been a very nice, and I really like your comments and questions. Very good questions about different things. But hey, thanks for watching, and bye for now.